one league, every team gets the same budget, roughly $279 million, and you cannot spend a single dollar more. In another league, one team spent $340 million, while a rival spent $47 million. Same sport, same season, same trophy.
Wait, one team spent 7 times more than another? In the same league?
And still didn't win. That's where it gets interesting. Every professional league has to answer the same question. Should we control how much teams spend on players? The answer shapes everything. Whether dynasties form or get broken up. Whether small market teams can compete or just exist. Whether fans watch a real contest or a foregone conclusion. And here's the thing most fans miss. There isn't one answer. There are 4 completely different systems running right now across major sports. And each one creates different winners, different losers, and different kinds of drama. We're planting 3 questions. Keep them in your head. 1. If every team has the same budget, why don't they all win equally? 2. What happens when you let teams spend whatever they want? 3. Is there a system that actually works? Or is every option a compromise? 4 systems. Think of them on a spectrum from most controlled to least controlled. On one end, the hard cap. Absolute ceiling. You cannot exceed it, period. That's the NFL and the NHL. In the middle, the soft cap. There's a ceiling, but the rules let you go over it, sometimes way over it. That's the NBA. Further along, the luxury tax with no cap. No ceiling at all, but if you spend past a threshold, you pay a penalty. That's MLB. And at the far end, no cap, no tax. Just spend what you have. That's European football.
So it goes from everyone gets the same to good luck out there.
Exactly. And each spot on that spectrum creates completely different behavior. Let's start where the rules are tightest. In the NFL, every team operates under the same salary cap, $279.2 million for the 2025 season. You can't go over. Not by a dollar. Not for any reason. That means the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars start every offseason with the exact same spending ceiling. The theory is simple. If everyone has the same budget, the teams that build smartest, not richest, should win.
Makes sense. So does it work?
It works at keeping teams close. The NFL has more parity than almost any major league on earth. Any given Sunday, as they say. Bad teams become good within a few years. Good teams fall off. The cycle keeps turning. But same budget doesn't mean same results. And here's why. A hard cap doesn't just limit spending. It creates a game within the game. Front offices aren't just picking players. They're solving a puzzle. How do you fit the best possible roster under a fixed number? This is where you see things like restructured contracts, where a team converts a player's salary into a signing bonus to free up space now, but pushes the cost into future years. Teams do this all the time. It's legal, it's strategic, and it's also how teams end up in what fans call cap hell, stuck paying for past decisions with no room to improve.
So you're spending the same amount just playing accounting games with when you pay it?
That's exactly right. And this is why the hard cap doesn't guarantee equal outcomes. The teams with better cap managers, better scouts, and better development systems still win more. They're just working within tighter constraints. The hard cap also means something painful. You can't keep everyone. A team wins the Super Bowl, half the roster hits free agency, and the cap forces them to let good players walk. That's the trade-off. You get competitive balance, but you also get forced breakups. Dynasties are hard to maintain because the system is designed to pull them apart. And that answers part of the puzzle. But there's a deeper question here. If every team has the same budget, the difference comes down to how you use it. Draft picks are cheap. Veterans are expensive. Development matters more than spending. Which brings us to open loop number 1. If every team has the same budget, why don't they all win equally? We'll come back to that, because the answer involves something no salary system can control. Now let's move to basketball. The NBA has a salary cap, $140.6 million for the 2024-25 season. But here's the twist. It's a soft cap. Teams can exceed it.
A cap you can go over? Doesn't that defeat the purpose?
It sounds that way, but there's method to the madness. The NBA's cap is full of exceptions, legal loopholes designed into the system that let teams spend over the cap in specific situations. The biggest one is called bird rights, named after Larry Bird. If a player has been on your team for 3 or more years, you can re-sign them for any amount, even if it puts you over the cap. The idea is that teams should be rewarded for developing players, not punished for keeping them. So a team like the Boston Celtics could re-sign their own stars for max contracts, go over the cap, and still be allowed to operate. Something a rival team without those bird rights couldn't do. But there's a catch. Once you go over the cap, you hit a series of tax lines. The luxury tax threshold sits at about $170.8 million. Go above that, and you start paying a penalty, $1.50 for every dollar over. Go further, and the penalty escalates. There's a first apron and a second apron, each with increasingly harsh restrictions. Hit the second apron, and suddenly, you can't use certain free agent tools, you can't trade future picks as freely, and your draft picks can get pushed to the back of the round. The NBA is basically saying, you can spend more, but we'll make it progressively more painful.
So the cap isn't really a cap. It's more like a speed bump that gets bigger.
That's a great way to put it. And the system has real consequences. In 2024, the Phoenix Suns paid roughly $152 million in luxury tax alone, more than some teams' entire payrolls. 3 players, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, made a combined $150 million, and the rest of the roster had to be filled with minimum salary players because the Suns had almost no flexibility left. But the most famous example of the soft cap's impact happened in 2016. The NBA had just signed a massive new TV deal. The Players' Union rejected a plan to gradually phase the new money into the cap. Instead, the cap spiked in 1 year, from $70 million to $94 million. That's a 34% jump. And one team was perfectly positioned to exploit it, the Golden State Warriors. They already had Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, a championship core on relatively affordable contracts. The cap spike suddenly gave them room to add a max contract player. Kevin Durant walked in the door. The result? Arguably the most dominant team in NBA history. 2 straight titles, and a league-wide debate about whether the system had broken itself. Here's the midpoint clarity line. Say it with me. A salary cap doesn't control outcomes. It controls options. Hard cap. Same options for everyone. Compete on execution. Soft cap. More options if you build from within, but escalating costs for going big. Both create competitive balance, just through different pressure points. Now let's go where there are no limits at all. Sort of. Major League Baseball has no salary cap. Never has. Instead, it has a competitive balance tax, what everyone calls the luxury tax. The threshold was $237 million in 2024. Exceed it, and you pay a tax on every dollar over. First year over, 20%. Second year, 30%. 3 or more consecutive years, 50%. Go 40 million past the threshold, and surcharges start stacking on top. But here's the critical difference from the NBA. There's no cap underneath. Teams aren't limited in how much they can spend. The tax is a penalty, not a ceiling. And the spending gap shows it. In 2024, the Los Angeles Dodgers had a payroll of $353 million for competitive balance tax purposes and paid $103 million in penalties. That's a record. The Mets were right behind them at $348 million. The New York Yankees, $316 million. Now look at the other end. The Oakland Athletics, $83 million. That's not a typo. The Mets paid more in luxury tax than Oakland spent on its entire roster.
So the richest team paid more in fines than the poorest team paid in salaries.
Exactly. And this is where fans get angry, because this system creates visible, measurable inequality. You can see it in the payroll charts. The question is, does it show up in the standings? And the answer is complicated. Money helps. Over a 10-year window, higher payroll teams make the playoffs more often. But in any single season, it's not a guarantee. The 2024 Dodgers won the World Series, but the A's have won championships in eras when they were outspent by huge margins. The Tampa Bay Rays regularly compete with bottom 5 payrolls. What the luxury tax really does is create a soft deterrent. Most teams don't want to pay those penalties year after year. 9 teams paid the tax in 2024, a record, but that still means 21 teams stayed under. The tax doesn't prevent spending. It makes overspending uncomfortable enough that most teams choose not to.
So it's not a cap. It's a strongly worded suggestion.
With escalating financial consequences attached. And that brings us to open loop number 2. What happens when you let teams spend whatever they want? The answer is already visible. You get a wider gap between the top and bottom, more flexibility for wealthy owners, and a constant debate about whether the competition is real. But you also get something the hard cap leagues don't: the possibility of a team going all in without any restrictions. The Dodgers' spending spree isn't just about money, it's about a philosophy: win now, pay later, and accept the tax as the cost of doing business. And now the far end of the spectrum, European football. No salary cap, no luxury tax, no formal spending limit tied to a fixed number. If you have the money, you spend it. Manchester City's annual wage bill in 2024-25 was around £224 million.
Burnley Football Club,
newly promoted to the Premier League, spent roughly £33 million. That's nearly 7 times less, in the same league, playing for the same title.
Sounds like MLB, but even more extreme.
It is. But European football has tried to address this, not with salary caps, but with profitability rules. UEFA has financial fair play, now called financial sustainability regulations. The Premier League has its own profitability and sustainability rules. The basic idea: you can't spend significantly more than you earn over a rolling multi-year period. And it's not about capping spending. It's about making sure your spending is backed by real revenue. In theory, this means a club like Manchester City can spend $224 million on wages, but only because their commercial revenue, TV money, and matchday income can support it. A club like
Burnley Football Club
can't spend that much because they don't earn that much. But this system has its own problems. Critics argue it protects the big clubs. If you can only spend what you earn, and the biggest clubs earn the most, then the gap between rich and poor gets locked in. A new owner with deep pockets can't just buy their way to competitiveness overnight. The rules slow them down. That's stability for some, but it's a barrier for others. And enforcement has been inconsistent. Manchester City faced 115 charges for alleged financial fair play violations. Everton and Nottingham Forest both received points deductions for breaching Premier League spending rules. The system exists, but policing it is messy.
So instead of controlling spending, they're trying to control the gap between spending and earning?
That's the framework, and it creates a different set of winners. Clubs with massive revenue streams, global brands, big stadiums, lucrative commercial deals can spend the most. Clubs without those advantages have to be smarter or accept a lower ceiling. It's the most free market version of professional sports, and it produces the most predictable results. In most European leagues, the same handful of clubs win the title almost every year. Now let's pay off our open loops. Open loop number 1. If every team has the same budget, why don't they all win equally? Because a budget is just a constraint, not a strategy. The teams that win are the ones that make the best decisions within whatever constraints they face. Better drafting, better development, better coaching, better culture. The hard cap equalizes opportunity, not outcomes. And that's actually the point. It makes the decisions matter more, not less. Open loop number 2. What happens when you let teams spend whatever they want? You get a wider range of strategies. Some teams spend aggressively and accept the cost. The Dodgers model. Some teams spend efficiently and compete above their weight. The Rays model. And some teams spend almost nothing. The Oakland A's model, which fans usually call a failure of ownership, not a failure of the system. The system allows all of these. Whether that's a feature or a bug depends on who you ask. Open loop number 3. Is there a system that actually works? They all work, for different values. Hard caps maximize parity but limit star power and force breakups. Soft caps balance flexibility and competition, but create loophole warfare. Luxury taxes allow freedom but produce visible inequality. No cap systems reflect the market, but tend to lock in hierarchies. Every system is a trade-off between two things fans want simultaneously: fairness and freedom. Let me give you the cheat sheet, the framework that most fans are missing. When someone argues about salary caps, they're usually arguing about one of four values, and they don't realize it. Value 1, competitive balance. Do you want every team to have a realistic shot? Hard cap is your answer. Value 2, player loyalty. Do you want teams to keep the stars they develop? The soft cap with bird rights is designed for exactly that. Value 3, owner freedom. Do you want owners to spend as much as they choose? MLB's luxury tax, or no cap at all, gives you that. Value 4, revenue protection. Do you want to make sure clubs don't destroy themselves financially? European profitability rules prioritize this. No system serves all four equally. Every league picks its priority, and the trade-offs follow.
So the system decides what gets optimized.
And what gets optimized decides what kind of league you get.
The rules decide the game before the game starts.
And once you see the rules, you see the sport differently. If this has changed your way of thinking about sports, subscribe to InfoGrid and don't forget to like. We break down the system so you can see the incentives that others don't notice.